If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good morning and welcome to Saratoga Today for Sunday, July 21st here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with good friend and co-host from Ben Boozin and author of today's Saratoga Power Picks, Mr. Charlie Freeman. Charlie, thanks for getting up this morning. I know when I was your age, the only thing that would get me up in the morning over the weekend would be like a sporting event or playing golf. So appreciate you getting up today. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Certainly been a busy weekend doing both Saratoga shows and the Power Picks. I hope everybody's not getting sick of, seeing me and my name around. But, hopefully this ends up capping off a, decent weekend.
Yeah, no, we love having you on this show. I was quite busy weekend hanging out with Vic Stauffer and some of his friends playing golf and doing some other things. And we got a bunch of guys. Noah was back home in California at a wedding. And anyway, a lot of stuff going on this weekend. And speaking of things going on, we'll talk about tomorrow night on Horse and Around. I believe Noah is going to be joining us, Mr. West Coast Bias, to talk about Haskell and Del Mar from this past weekend. But a whole bunch of us, of course, are going to Saratoga next week. Charlie, we'll miss you. I know you can't be there. You're busy learning how to make millions of dollars once you graduate from college or internship, but you'll be there at some point, I'm sure. We'll talk more about our Saratoga trip tomorrow night on Horse and Around at 8 p.m. Eastern. But real quick, make sure you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Please hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Charlie, I don't know if you know, huge news. Yesterday, the HHH Racing Podcast went past 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We could not do without you guys. This show would be nothing if it weren't for our viewers and listeners, Charlie. And so that's awesome accomplishment and milestone. Please make sure you get people signing up for that. Hit that like button below the screen and hit the notification bell at the top right-hand side of YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on X, thanks for joining us this morning. You can listen again on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. The tip sheet. Oh boy, was there a score on our regular tip sheet last night? I'll talk about that in a minute, but look below the video player. The ROI is higher than that for sure, Charlie. It's been rocking and rolling. Go to our website, hhracingpodcast.com, and Power Picks are still available for Saratoga and Del Mar only. You can only sign up now for individual weekends. Please make sure you go to our website, click on the Power Picks tip sheet, and find out about that. But every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we do have Power Picks available for Saratoga only and Del Mar only, in addition to our regular Saturday only Power Pick tip sheet. So we got a lot going on. So yesterday, Charlie, I know we were texting a little bit in a group text. We'll talk more about this Monday. It was a complete disaster for me. Just horrible. And you're gonna have days like this. I mean, I loved Highland Falls. I loved Mindframe. I loved a horse called Data Man at Monmouth and the United Nations Turf, who studied 4 or 5 times early and lost by 2 lengths with a huge late run. I know you had a tough DQ at Gulfstream. This can be a brutal game, man, but all you need is one score, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Unfortunately, sometimes you can get a little too discouraged. I know a lot of us were talking about how frustrating Monmouth was, to the point where I started questioning all my opinions there. And even though Dornoch was a horse I felt strongly about, I decided I've had enough of Monmouth beating up on me and chose to go to other tracks. And it is nice to make some recovery, but I won't lie, it was a little brutal to just miss out on hitting the pick 4, which I had for $1 at Saratoga yesterday, which obviously would have been, think combined was like a $300 win that I just missed out on, but had a few nice wins to, make a recovery, which is not bad.
Yeah, no, you got it. Well, I'll talk about recovery in a second. Chris Couples had a bad day. Look, Charlie, if we come on or if anyone comes on and constantly says they're having great days, they're just lying to you. I mean, literally 10 to 15% of bettors win consistently in horse racing. And yesterday was a complete disaster. I mean, a really bad day for me until the last race at Del Mar with a horse that I was very happy to tip out for our regular Power Tip subscribers on tip sheet, a horse called Atitlan, who won at 35-1 the last race at Del Mar, which, Charlie, for people on the East Coast is like 10:30 at night because, it's West Coast. But that did not. I'm not gonna lie, that didn't get me out completely for the day, but sure as hell helped. Sometimes and I didn't put a lot of money on it, Charlie, because I was like, hey, my ass kicked in all day, and I'm like, this horse is taking no money. He's 35-1, right? Sometimes you see the board and you're like, am I really betting this? I shouldn't. I should have thought that way, but sometimes that happens.
No, I completely agree. I mean, for me, it was I hear what you're saying. Yeah, for me, even though Gulfstream hurt me early, I made a few small recoveries there, and then Woodbine, same kind of thing you were talking about. There was a little play I was intrigued in playing, and odds were, I think, 17-1 was the payout on the bet I was assigned to play, and I didn't put much on, like you were saying, and it didn't get me out completely, but it is a
Yeah.
nice recovery. But yeah, like you're saying completely, you kind of just have to stay the course and sometimes just be realistic that you might not get it all back, but you can still steadily make some of it back. And like you said, though, this is realistic because no one wins every single time, and if they do, they're just hiding the bad days.
Yeah, no, completely untrue. All right, let's get on to the races today, Charlie. Interesting late pick five sequence at Saratoga. Weather's been unbelievable all week, and hopefully we'll get some of that next week. A lot of people in the chat. Thank you very much. I see a ton of people in the live chat. Please uh, make sure you put comments in the chat. Charlie, we're not going to talk about the Shuvi, which is the feature today. It's only a 5-horse race or 5-horse race. Yeah. I will say Just Catherine, I think, is a little bit interesting. The Shuvi, I know Raging Sea is a big favorite. If you want to know more about Charlie's thoughts on the Shuvi, you will if you are subscribed to our Saratoga Power Picks tip sheet. But we're going to go right to race 7, Charlie, right now. Race 7 is the beginning. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Race 7 is the beginning of the late pick 5. Let's get to it right now here today as I take down this banner. There we go. And I put up another banner. And here we go. All right, there we go, Charlie. There's our picks on the bottom of the screen for race 7. There are 2 baby races in the late pick 5 today. So you really got to do your homework. And even if you do your homework, there's no guarantees. I believe, Charlie, and I know you don't bet Saratoga every day, I don't think, but I think this is the first 2-turn 2-year-old turf race at Saratoga this year. And these are by far, I believe, some of the toughest races you'll see at Saratoga. I know my good friend Nick Tamaro, who does a great job with morning lines and race calling and many things, and does analysis for Saratoga, believes the same thing. So you got to do your homework here. It's a $100,000 purse. They're going a mile and a 16th. The rails are out. This is for the fillies. You see it's a big field, and scratches are now in, Charlie, by the way, so that's good for both of us to see. And if anything else pops up, we'll find out. But Ravenite, who's I believe the other coupled entry, right, is out. And the morning line favorite here is the number 8, Wild and Free, Pletcher and Ortiz 3-1. I'm going 6-9-1. You're going 2-8-1. So we're both going against the morning line favorite here. Let's talk about a interestingly named horse called Virgin Colada, who you're going with 9-2 morning line.
Yeah, and shout out to West Coast Bias himself, as this horse is owned by Resolute Racing.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought this filly looked really interesting. I think the works are very solid. I know Chad Brown isn't one to necessarily specifically, crank up his horses, so it's not like a Wesley Ward horse where I'm expecting the times to shoot off the page. But nonetheless, last time out, worked that bullet in 48-2, which was very positive for me. Also gets Flavian Pratt aboard, who, in my opinion, is arguably the best turf jockey in the country. And again, you just ask West Coast Boss what he thinks about how Flavian Pratt's been riding. And he's been texting me nonstop this weekend about how good he thinks his boy's been doing. So certainly the right connections to have on. Chad Brown does very solid with his first-time starters. You can see in the trainer stats down there, and this one out of More Than Ready. I just thought it was interesting. I liked what I kind of saw from the breeding and the works. And I think at 9-2, I don't think you'll get that with Pratt and it being a Chad Brown horse, but this one's very interesting to me. And I just think, like you said, I think these are the kind of races to try to beat a favorite in because it is so unpredictable.
It's a big guessing game. And Charlie, I know that I sent it to you not too long ago, but if you do want to open up your email on the side, if you can, I did send you the workout report for Saratoga today. So as we talk through some stuff, you might want to take a look at that, but obviously you don't need to. Only a B workout last time. That last work, Charlie, was a B. Not a lot of turf reading there. So I don't know what to do. I mean, this is the first, I believe it's the first it's the first progeny out of the horse Ready for Action. I'm sorry. It is the first progeny out of Episcopal. I mean, it's More Than Ready, can win, but I asked Noah about this horse. He didn't really have any no buzz from Resolute Racing, but I mean, who knows? Flavian's on. I understand it's Chad certainly he could, this filly could win for sure. You also have the 8, and I have some stats I want to throw out to everyone as I go through this race. Wild and Free for Pletcher, Into Mischief filly out of a Temple City mare. A little more turf breeding here, Charlie. You have this 1 second.
Yeah, no, I really liked what I was seeing on a breeding side here, as you touched on. And obviously, whenever you see the Irad Ortiz Pletcher combo, you have to look out. And admittedly, because I just pulled up the email from you, looking at what it's saying with that B plus workout and saying that there's more in tank makes me feel even better about, still
Yep.
having this horse in my top 2 and feeling that this favorite certainly can run well. Again, another horse that seems very well meant. And admittedly, I know Pletcher hasn't been as successful lately, with his first time starters as someone like Chad Brown has, for someone who's still in that same,
Yep.
highly regarded respect of some of the best in the business. But I still think this is a horse you can't take lightly.
I noticed no Wesley Ward in your top 3. Wesley's going to take you off your Hanukkah list.
I will address that real quickly, and I'll let you go into the stat you want to say on the 8 and going into your 6. But for me, to be honest with you, I think we can kind of agree on this. We know Wesley's specialties are sprinters. And for me, just seeing a first-time starter that's going this long, I understand that, there is the gun runner in this horse, so I can see that distance shouldn't be a problem. But for me, I'm just more, I think we kind of agree. Wesley's more, that 6 furlongs and shorter kind of racing. And so if this was a turf sprint, I'd probably have a Wesley Ward on top. But with it being,
Yep.
2 turns and longer, I don't feel like he is quite the same,
Yeah,
standard.
no doubt. And I've got some stats I want to share with everyone on that note. Charlie, you got to watch the board though, right? I mean,
Yes,
certain
of
horses
course.
might take more money than you think. Here's some stats, Charlie, of the horses we talked about so far. I'll let you take a guess. Wesley Ward, last 5 years, Charlie, has gone 2-turn debut 2-year-olds at Saratoga. So on the turf. So turf
Okay.
in this exact same kind of race. 15 times, 1-5. How many wins do you think Wesley Ward has? Saratoga, last 5 years, babies on the turf, first time going long.
I'd say 1 or 2.
0 for 15.
I was close. At least I wasn't that biased.
Only 1 horse in the money. This is not what he does. You're exactly right. This is not what he does at all. Stats for Wild and Free for Pletcher, not real good, Charlie. Same situation. You want to take a guess? 35 starters last 5 years for Pletcher. How many wins out of 35? Again, going long, first time 2-year-olds turf. Todd Pletcher, what do you think out of 35? And if you're way off, Charlie, don't feel bad. People in the chat could take a guess too. You'd have to look up Formulator to know this. Well, what would be your guess?
Now that you're saying it's another bad stat, I'll say like 3.
I didn't say it was bad. I just asked the question.
I'll say 3.
Exactly. Great. Wow.
There
Great guess. With a $1 ROI, which is obviously bad. So as good as Pletcher is, this is not what he does best either. Again, these are things I'm not telling people whether, bet these horses or not, but I'm a math guy. You deal with numbers all the time. I mean, it matters, obviously, correct? Let me go to my top choice.
Go for
Number 6, Sharp Smile. $350,000 by Practical Joke filly out of a Cuvée mare. There is definitely some breeding on Sharp Smile, Charlie. Sharp Smile, Chocolate Pop was a dirt horse, but this is a half to Aero Force. Who's Aero Force? Aero Force almost won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, lost to a horse called Hit in a Bomb, which for people that have been around for a while knows was a serious turf horse. This horse also has been working very well for Brad Cox. I don't have Brad Cox stats in front of me. I apologize. Solid B workouts on the dirt and the turf. I just have a feeling this one is going to fire. Again, we'll see what the morning line looks like. And the other one I like is number 9, Ready Art for Dutro, who also has some very nice works on the workout report, including a B plus workout 2 back, Charlie. And this is a horse by Munnings out of a Giants Causeway mare. So there's obviously breeding there as well. Has been working on the turf. So, I mean, again, there's a lot going on here, Charlie, in this race. Quick other stats, and then we're going to move on. And we're going to talk longer on this race, Charlie, because there's just so much going on here. We want to inform the viewers. The number 1 yesterday for George Weaver, an American Pharaoh filly, is a half to Roses for Deborah. Charlie, you might know that horse. That's a really good filly sprinter. I'll go and show the PPs for people that you might know this horse. Obviously, Charlie for Clement, really talented horse. Distance we'll see on this one, but obviously has some breeding. And let's see. And the number 10, which we're not going to touch on, Right to Battle, is a half to two very good turf horses. So, and this is a war of will. Charlie, this is just one of those races it's a guessing game, but I mean, the board will tell, right?
No, completely. Yeah. The board and looking into doubles if you want to try to get even more of a jump and see what it kind of looks like in the next race.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm happy you provided a stat real quick on the 1 in 10 because those are the two prices I would say initially at least to look for.
Yeah. There's just a lot to look at, and you got to do your homework. Let's get on. Whoop, I didn't want to do that. Sorry, Charlie. Let's get on to the next race. Race 8 is at 5:04 Eastern. There it is. Mile 16th on the turf for New York bred fillies and mares, $95,000 purse, big field. Looks like only the also eligibles are the scratches as of right now. The number 7 is the favorite. First time in forever, excuse me. Leonard Powell, Flavian Pratt, 2-1. Charlie, I read your power picks tip sheet, obviously, so I know how you feel in general. 2-1 just seems awfully low to me on this horse. Here's our picks on the bottom of the screen. I'm tossing the favorite completely out of my top 3. I'm going 5-3-1. You're going 3-7-5. So we both do like the number 3. Awesome check. You've got this one on top. Horatio DePaz, Manny Franco, 5-1 money line.
Yeah, and I'll touch on what I think about the 7 in a moment, but I thought the 3 was actually pretty impressive. Obviously that was a tough race to have to come back into off such a long layoff and go straight into a stakes race and have to run against, a horse like oversubscribed who just ran yesterday and,
Right.
ran on for a very decent second and honestly probably could have won if there had been a little more of a pace setup. So I thought
Yeah.
all things considering oversubscribed ran pretty huge, but that was first time again, like I said, off that big layoff, having to deal with a very weird pace where they went 23 flat and 46 flat, just an outrageously fast pace. And for a horse that normally likes to be pretty forwardly placed, I think kind of messed up what they were expecting from the jump. And she just kind of had to make the best of a very challenging situation that was much better for closers than, horses that are more so in, a stalking role. And that's why oversubscribed rolled on by the whole field. But I think second time out in a race that won't have that ridiculous of a pace and a horse that's, working decently. I think, with the connections, this one might get a little overlooked. I think you can get all of that 5-1. But I think the 3 is very talented here. And for a lot of other horses who have kind of been at lower prices and underperformed and ran against weaker, I think looking for a fresh face because a lot of these have raced against each other. Awesome Chuck is a very intriguing horse for me.
I love hearing things that we've talked about on the podcast. I'll tell you what, these young guys are crushing on the show. Charlie, I agree. I'm a little bit sick of some of these horses that have been running against each other. I think there's 5 horses coming out of a common race, and they've been racing. They're trying to pass this
A lot, yeah.
N1X condition, Charlie. I just do not like horses that can't pass a condition, and I've had several times to do it. Meanwhile, this horse, Awesome Check, as you astutely mentioned, is a fresh face and has been open company stakes. This is to me a somewhat significant drop. I know she's only 3 and she's facing some olders, but I agree. I think everything you said, I agree with. I've got this one second. It's very interesting. A horse. Let's see. Let's talk about 2 other horses here, and we'll move on. First time in forever. Consistent. Fits by the figs. Doesn't get the job done. Well, I shouldn't say that. 3 for 14. She doesn't blow me away. I don't see upside here necessarily, and she's going to be 8-5. I don't know. I have weird vibes on this horse, negative vibes.
Here's what I will say. I think this horse is kind of a shoe-in. I'd say this is the safest bet in the field by far to finish top 3. But unfortunately, the reality
Agreed.
is for a horse that's going to be the favorite, you're not betting that. I mean, where you do have to give credit is 8 for 14 lifetime in the money. It's not like this horse, is a money burner where the horse just keeps running duds and is absolutely nowhere. And you're like, why the hell was this horse the favorite? It's more so like you're saying, where you'll see the horse has every opportunity to win. And I mean, the first time forever said Pratt aboard. So if you watch a lot of those different replays, which is another thing I keyed in on, was trying to look for trouble. There was one race where I remember the horse was the number 2 in that race, where
Hmm.
Pratt got shut down on the rail. But in the other
Yeah.
efforts, Pratt put the horse in a perfect spot, and she just couldn't get the job done. Like there were
Yeah, I
no
mean
excuses.
she's 3 wide, but she's getting a good trip. I mean, what's her excuse from here,
No,
Charlie?
I
There
thought
is
she
no
was. Yeah,
excuse. I mean,
I thought she was
she just
gone.
flat out gets run down by a 9-2 shot. I mean,
Who
so
went just as
I
wide, by the
just
way?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying who also had to go just as wide, by the way. It wasn't like the horse saved
Yeah,
ground.
and it really wasn't close. I mean, I
No,
don't know. This is just the kind of horse that I don't like to use very much. I'm going to use this horse very defensively, Charlie,
same here.
in the pick 5. It's the kind of horse we've talked about on our show and on Betting and Boozing a lot. You don't want to lose the pick 5 or pick 4 to this horse, but you also don't really want to press up on this horse, and you hope she loses, basically, in general. I really like this 5 quite a bit, Charlie. Downtown
Me too.
Channel. I'm going to talk about this one. You've got it third. This is up. I've got it on top. I'm assuming you watched the replay. This is an English Channel filly out of a Warfront mare. The breeding is fantastic and was a completely different horse last time, making her debut as a 3-year-old. And the field was not great, Charlie. There's no doubt about that. I'm not going to argue about that. But the way she finished, and you know I'm a big visual handicapper, and you are as well. I thought it was really impressive. She went very wide here, where she's going to, yeah, she had to wait. We didn't see that, but she had to wait. And right here, he's just like, like right here. I mean, did anyone think she was going for right here, Charlie? I'm
No,
watching
I'm
the
thinking she's
replay,
getting
like, are you
third.
kidding me? Right?
Yeah, I would think she's getting third right after the 11 and 6 from there.
Yeah, and then look, I mean, she kicked in these, she like figured out the game and like, oh, I'm supposed to run these horses down. I mean, she did it easily, Charlie,
Yeah, and
like
then she
in
was rid of out at
hand.
the end. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is a wow replay for me. Can she duplicate that today against much tougher? I don't know, but I'm willing to take a chance, Charlie, at 12-1. Although I got a gut feeling this is gonna be a wise guy kind of 5-1, 6-1. I think we're gonna get about half the price, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think actually the same trainer as the number 3 horse. So I do
Yes,
think that'll be
Horatio de
kind of,
Paz. Yep.
yeah, which I do think will be kind of interesting again, where it's not quite as well known as some of these other bigger traders. So I don't know how much will get taken off. But yeah, with an effort like that and an Ortiz brother aboard, I'm sure she'll be taking some money. I think it'd probably be around 6-1, like you were saying. But yeah, for me, like you said, visually, it's something I've been trying to work on. As a lot of people know, I just love closers. But there's a big difference between seeing if a closer had everything set up perfectly, or if the horse did less closing, and it was more the other horses falling back. But like you said, when I visually watched this one, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind, like you said, and another one that was coming off of almost a year-long layoff and on the
Yeah,
switch to the turf. And like you said, all of a sudden just figured it out. And I think also is one that doesn't have to be quite as far back, because once you saw that kick, it almost looked like she had enough in the tank to maybe be closer earlier, but she didn't really understand that. And then kind of figured out, like you were saying, oh, wait, I can kind of go. So I think this is one absolutely to mix in underneath, and could very well surprise at what I don't think will be quite a price at this.
Chris Couples on the bottom, who I have mad respect for, does a lot of great work for In the Money. He believes in First Time Forever, said the 1.8 was too long and had trouble before. Look, First Time Forever can absolutely win, Charlie. I don't think any of us, either one of us, are going to argue that. I just think
Yeah.
for the price, there's ones that are a lot more interesting. And the other thing I want to mention, move on, and this is something that people need to pay attention to. The Buyers is 69. Okay, that's too low. That's not going to win this race. The time form, however, is a 96. And if you believe in time form and you think the 7 is the horse to beat, how far is the 96 that far off of a 99, 98? Okay, there are hundreds here, but I don't know if she's as good as she was then. I mean, and you figure the 5 is going to improve, right? So really, how far off is the 5, assuming she jumps up a little bit again, right?
Yeah, and the other thing I would argue, again, kind of going with the 3 that I have on top and the 5 that you have on top, is for both of these horses, it's second time out off of massive layoffs. So that's the other thing for me,
Yes.
is a lot of these horses that we've been talking about are not just racing each other a lot, but they've just been racing each other a lot, period. Whereas these two both had very decent performances first time off massive layoffs and look to be stepping forward again. I think they have by far the most room to grow.
Totally agree. Let's go on to race 9. Now, this is the second of 2 baby races in the sequence. Main special weight, of course, 6 furlongs, fillies, 2-year-olds, as I mentioned, $100,000 purse. The 9 is scratched. The Moreline favorite is the rail horse number 1, Kiss Me Slow. Great name for Chad, and Flavian gets the call. Let's go ahead and put our picks on the screen. I'm going 164. Charlie's going 317. And Charlie, knowing you pretty well, I know you're not a huge fan of horses debuting on the rail, which I totally get. So let's go to your top choice, Black Dog, Roof Roof. Number 3 for Amos and Gaff Leone. I'll talk about some stats and some workout reports also here, Charlie. What do you like about Black Dog? I believe making her second start, right? Lifetime start?
Yes. Maybe it's because I, had one black dog, and over the last weekend we got a new puppy who's also a black dog. So maybe I have a little
Oh, she's
bias there.
black. What's the name?
The new dog, her name is Chelsea, after the football club or soccer club that I
Of
support.
course.
Yeah.
Chelsea, right? Well, tell Chelsea I say hi. And she'll be putting down a small wager on Black Dog as well. She'll just
Oh, she
use her
has to.
paw and hit the. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
But I actually feel really strongly about this horse, and I'll let more of my talking into it go into it with the power picks. But I actually thought the debut was quite impressive from her. She was pretty far, she was decently far back, not crazy, but for a sprint, 4 lengths still is decent ground to have to make up. And they were going pretty quick, going 21.7 and then almost 45 flat was when they really started to pick it up. But I thought this horse showed a lot of interest late, and I don't think the distance will be a problem going right back here. I think 6 furlongs is exactly what Black Dog wants. Clearly, a very well meant horse with the $375,000 price tag, and is working very forwardly. You see, obviously, leading into that last race was working forwardly already with the 47-2 and 47-4 and minute flat. But then even after that race, then came back with a 48-2, which to me shows that she's continuing to keep that form. And for me, I just think a lot of times we talk about this so much that one of the biggest steps forward that we see in horses is when it's that second time out. And I think she's in prime position and could have that experience as an advantage over some of these others. And, compared to some of these who have ran before that kind of dropped duds, I actually thought visually she was the only one that has run before that looked impressive.
Let's take a look at the field that she faced. Well, Atomic City got a 60, 57. That's probably like an average field for Churchill. What I do like about this horse, Charlie, other than the things you mentioned, is she was bet, right? She was
Yeah,
2.7 to
that
1
too.
first time out. She was well meant. Amos is an excellent high percentage trainer. Now the horse has experience. This one absolutely figures and can win for sure. Let's talk about the one. I have a pretty strong opinion on Kiss Me Slow. Let me give everyone some information before I talk about this horse, then you can interject. First of all, the workout reports are solid with solid B workouts, and I almost pulled up the video, but I wasn't sure that I was gonna have time to do that this morning of the last workout, the bullet work. Charlie, I can tell everyone at home the last bullet workout that you see on July 14th, she was in company, Charlie, with another horse, and she actually broke from the rail in that workout and broke very well and fought all the way in with another good horse. So my point, Charlie, is although I don't love horses breaking from the rail necessarily, this one's already broken from the rail in practice, right? And I will say Jose Ortiz was up that day and not Flavian in the workout. I'm not going to read too much into that, but I think it matters a little bit. St. Elias stable. Teresa Z. This is the first progeny out of Teresa Z. This was a nice horse, Charlie. Mainly 2 turns though, so I would assume that Kiss Me Slow is going to handle 2 turns, but she's been working very well and she's broken from the rail. I just think this one is very, very live, and I have a feeling she's going to be the favorite in here. I think a lot of other horses could win. I've got several others. The only other I'm going to mention also, Charlie, is with the 6 Salted. If Jose worked a horse in the morning, Charlie, and the horse worked well, I just found it odd that he didn't go with her. The jockey musical chairs is tricky at Saratoga, but I'm going to upgrade the 6 just because of that. I don't know. Maybe that's stupid thinking, Charlie, but I think the 6 is interesting also.
Yeah, no, I thought Salted is a interesting horse, and again, talking about how we talked about the 3 on debut, this one was also very clearly bet down. My main thing I kind of struggled with, I think I would probably use this horse defensively, but isn't one that I was personally all over. Uh, I would probably put in like a B range realistically. My main concern was just it looked like Irad executed a perfect, at least in my opinion, like a pretty perfect trip for this horse and had every chance to go by and then just
Yeah,
didn't have it and now is stretching out. Now I understand 5.5 to 6 isn't enough to be like, oh my God, this horse can't handle that kind of stretch out. It was just more so for me, like the figure I also think was pretty accurate, to be honest. It didn't look like to me the winner was just some ultra talented horse that
yeah.
couldn't catch. It kind of looked pretty slow too. But
This is
I
the
think eight
Charlie.
to
Sorry
one
to
is
interrupt
way
you.
too
This is
big.
the dam. So I think distance is actually going to help this horse. She didn't run as well as Black Dog first time. I don't know. It's different races. She didn't run as well as Black Dog first time, but she was 4 to 5. I just have a feeling there's a lot more here. Just my gut feeling.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think I would honestly put this one like just right below the two firsters and Black
Yeah.
Dog. And I will say, I think you're not getting anywhere near 8 to 1. I still think that this
Yeah.
horse is very decent. I would have guessed probably closer to 5 or 6 to 1. The only other one I wanted to touch on briefly, and I'll let you go into the 4, was the 7. I believe That's the Godolphin
Yeah,
bred and owned horse for Cox, who
immersive.
is working very solidly and steadily with that
Yeah,
minute and 4 and the 48 and 1, 47 flat. So I thought this one was a little interesting as well. Because again, Brad Cox is another one where really all these renowned traders outside of Wesley Ward aren't really known to ramp their horses up. They kind of, it's more so have like a repeated patterns. Like if they happen to be working forwardly a lot, it'll stay that way. Or if they're working more
yeah.
average, it'll be fine. So I just thought that work tab was kind of impressive.
I agree. Double Cappuccino did no running against Complexion, though. That was a very live horse. Double Cappuccino, the number 4 for Ira and Pletcher, Charlie, has really improved her workouts and puts blinkers on. We're going to see a much improved effort from Double Cappuccino of Rapoli horse. This is just a very difficult race. You're not going to be able to see the board, though, for the pick 5, so that makes things a little bit dicey. My general opinion here, Charlie, is I'm going to use the 1 on top in first and second and play a bunch of exactas. I think the 1 is most likely to be first or second. It's a guess. And then, we'll see what happens after that. We got people in the chat. Let me get some people comments. We'll go on the last 2 races. Let's see here. Just Oldie from Mike Oldham, Oldie from Equine Edge said that Bruno had a time of 40 and 1, not 47 and 4. I'm not sure which Oldie, if you want to tell us which horse you're talking about, that'd be great. Bruno's often mentioned not to trust New York posted workout times. Interesting. Okay. So a particular work, there's a little bit, but it's in the eye of the beholder, right, Charlie? I mean, the time is the time. But what letter grade you give a workout, I don't know. Your opinion might be a little different than mine when you watch a work, right?
Yeah, no, and I
I
think
mean,
it does matter more because it's the same thing with not just works but races where you can see a
right,
horse maybe got a 60 and another one got a 70, but it looks differently.
right. Let's go on to race 10, Charlie. This is a starter. I think it's a starter allowance, if I recall. It is $110,000 purse. It is a field of 7. So Paddington is out, Charlie, the number 3 horse. More line favorite and probably a big one is the number 8 Black Rain for Pletcher and Ira. Let's go to our picks here in race 10. I'm going 685. Charlie, you and I, my friend. I guess we don't have to talk too much about this race. We're both going Rocketeer to try and beat Black Rain. Talk about Rocketeer, Cox, and Gaffleone 3-1.
Yeah, and it's something I did as a little shout out in the power picks, trying to pay homage to what you did with Rocket Can. Rocketeer, also a great song, so I made sure to give out a shout out about that.
Oh,
Highly
nice.
recommend those in the chat to look up Rocketeer and take a listen. Great
All
song
right.
for vibes. But yeah, I think this horse is very interesting, and for me, I do believe this is a 2-horse race firmly. I think a lot of these that have ran against each other have been very unimpressive, and I think the 5 from Churchill I just kind of threw in third because of that. But I think this is very clearly between the 6 and the 8, and if assume nothing goes crazy with breaks or anything. But I like that Rocketeer has ran against, at least in my opinion, tougher fields by a good amount than the 8, and has run well in every single race. Ran against Society Man, Houday, who are very respectable horses and would be well backed in this field. And still ran 4th by 3 lengths. I thought when I watched the replays that it kind of looked similar to that effort 2 back. But I think also, we talk about when a horse is a buyer top back-to-back times, that opportunity to step forward. And that's what I see with Rocketeers. I do see a horse that's lightly raced, continuing to develop, and looks to have plenty of potential to step forward. And I like that this one also, who was forwardly placed on debut, took well, in my opinion, to the stretch out to a mile and the 16th. So I have no issue with the distance at all.
I agree with everything you just said. Faced Society Man last time. It's just faced some really nice horses.
Yes.
And I like the fact this horse has gone 2 turns. Now, Black Rain is really talented and will probably get the lead. And he probably will get the mile and 8th. I just prefer a horse that's gone 2 turns, Charlie. To me, it's really that simple. If Black Rain wires the field, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, like you touched on, also with it being an IRED Pletcher who's already opening 8-5, and people are going to see those figures with the 84 debut and then all the way up to a 92 now. I just feel like there's no way this one isn't going to be a heavy favorite. I think 6-5. And the other concern I did kind of have, and I kind of visually saw it too, is you can see there's some blue numbers there. And one of the things that just concerned me a little bit is I feel like Black Rain has kind of had it his way a lot. And to see him only be able to hang on to win by 3/4 of a length, and that's, I know that race was in September, but still, I feel like could have been more convincing. I will give a pass last time out because I think General Partner is just an incredible horse. I mean, that no
Yeah.
one was beating the horse on that day, but nonetheless, I think 5 lengths was too big of a margin. I mean, Black Rain was neck and neck and was well bet that day. I think was second choice. And then general partner just literally brushed him off, or yeah, brushed him off and was just like, yeah, thanks for coming out. I'm just gonna roll on by. So I don't know. That's
That
kind of
was
that
Black
thought.
Rain's first start in a while, though. And
Agreed,
if
agreed,
we're
agreed.
gonna like horses, in other races that are off of long layoffs,
No, agreed,
then we
agreed.
gotta just maybe you disagree with that, but you figure
Oh
this
no,
horse can
yeah,
improve. And that race, by the way, on which was during Belmont at Saratoga weekend, that was a loaded allowance race. I'm
yes.
pretty sure that was out of Saturday. I think that was the actual Belmont day. So that was a loaded allowance race there. Black Rain obviously can win. Hey, how about Alex Yoder in the chat, Charlie? A black dog, Black Rain daily double? What do you think?
I mean, look, I don't mind it. Like I said, I think it's a 2-horse race. So if you're playing Black Dog into Black Rain, I mean, I think you got to, at least in my opinion, the only one you have to throw in is Rocketeer.
And since you're a finance guy, hopefully you're going to be in the black if you bet that double, right? All right, there you go. Let's go on the last race, Charlie, of the day. We really appreciate everyone watching and joining us tonight. Let's go to race 11. This race, Charlie. Oof.
It's a doozy. This one's
Wow,
brutal.
this is one all the way to end the car. Let's go ahead and put our picks on the bottom of the screen, and I'll go ahead and bring up the Equibase entries right now. Here we go. The last race of the day, of the weekend at Saratoga.
I could have guessed
Optional
who you went with.
allowance. I'm sorry?
I would say I could have guessed who you went with.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got reason. Optional allowance 45 claimer, mile and a 16th New York breds on the turf. I believe it's on the melon. I can't recall if it's the melon or the, let's see. I think it's the melon. Yeah, it's the outer. Huge field of 12. Morning line favorite is all the way on the outside. Flavian and Bill Morey coming in from California. 7-2 morning line, Hush of a Storm. Now, I do want to mention, Charlie, that of all the horses, this is the only one that's in for the 45,000 tag. Now, the reason, though, is because this horse just won so many damn times that they have to be in for the 45. So usually it's a negative for me. I'm not so sure it's as much of a negative this time. I'm going 395. You're going 112.3. Neural Network, Chad and Franco off the layoff. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, and I'm really intrigued with Neural Network. I like that this horse is working so forwardly off that long layoff, and I like Chad Brown off the layoffs. Obviously, getting Lasix now and the gelding certainly means there's quite a bit of changes going on. But I liked what I saw on the turf debut. I thought it was a pretty big ask to say, you know what, first time trying the turf, we're going to put you right back into a stakes race, and ran against Ballooney, who's a very decent horse, who I know yesterday didn't quite run as well as I'm sure Chad would have hoped with that horse, but before that had been in some really solid form and ran against far better horses than what's in this field. So I just think Neural Network, I know obviously the big question is going to be, the horse hasn't been seen in over a year. So what kind of shape and form, is he going to be in? But to me, again, I think the works kind of indicate that it looks like Chad has the horse ready and he feels this is the right time to put him back in there. And I think if Neural Network can just build off that effort last time out on the turf, I think this is a very intriguing horse that you could get all of that 5-1 on.
Oh, you think you're going to get 5-1? I think this horse is going to come down just because it's Chad
Really?
and
I just thought
Klarovich.
because the layoff, maybe not, but you could be right because I don't.
Yeah, we'll
disagree
see.
entirely.
This horse is not going to be favored though. I'd be shocked. The
Agreed.
layoff scares me. Now we talked, Charlie. The Chad, all these guys are pointing to Saratoga, right? So
Yes.
I don't mind layoffs in general. This just doesn't look like a planned layoff, right? I mean, if this was a talented 3-year-old last year, you know how many great turf stakes there are for 3-year-olds in this country, Charlie, because you've handicapped a whole bunch of them. Now this horse is off like a year and a half. Like something happened here, and whatever happened was not good. This horse can win. I'm going to use him. Obviously, Chad's had a few horses that have come off of layoffs, long layoffs at this meet already, have not run great. I'm not a huge fan, but you could be exactly right. I could be completely wrong here. Let's talk about the 12 because this is a fascinating horse. The number 12, Hush of a Storm, by the straight numbers, Charlie, should win this race, right? I mean, absolutely. They are synthetic races, but this horse started his career, as you can see, on the turf and did it very well. And frankly, any of those races would win this race too. So maybe I should have the 12 a lot higher. Again, I'm using the 12. There's two things I don't like. I don't like the post. This is a brutal post, number one. And I don't like the fact this horse is in for 45. I guess they've nowhere else to go, so they just have to. But would you want to give up? Would you want to sell this horse for 45 if you really thought he was that talented? So Mixed signals for me. Another horse that could absolutely win that I could be completely wrong about.
Yeah, the one thing I will counter with though is he also is 6, so I will say I think that has to be
True.
accounted for as the horse is
Yep.
starting to get older, and to me, I feel like that is kind of a breaking point. Is I feel like 3, 4, and 5 to then move it into 6, at least to me, is where you kind of start to say, okay, it's an older horse now. So I don't entirely mind it. And again, I do agree with you. I think this is a tough one because what I keyed in on, like you said, is those 2 turf efforts at Belmont were very impressive, and I think would smoke this field quite honestly. But I think that was my biggest question is then with those great efforts, then why are you bringing this horse to Presque Isle Downs and putting this horse on synthetic in the first place when the horse looked so damn good at Belmont on the turf anyway in the stakes race? I understand they obviously then threw it into some smaller stakes races at Presque Isle on the synthetic, and then same with Turfway, and ran very well in those and ran against some good horses like a Credit, Wolfie's Donagos, Chellis.
Yeah.
It's not fantastic again who had that massive effort, so I get it. I think there are question marks, but for me, there's too many positives and Pratt choosing to hop aboard for me to just completely toss this horse. And I feel like with a lot of other horses who have question marks, more of ability than, other things like the claim, I had to keep this one in my top 3.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this horse is a B for me. The one is a B. I mean, you just rattle off horses that would be 1 to 5 in this race.
Yep.
Wolfie's Diego. I mean, wow. So I don't know. I just this is a weird. I don't have a good feel for this horse to be very honest. Let's talk about the 3. I have mad love
My
for
type
this
of horse.
horse.
My type of
Now,
horse.
now let me be honest here about 2 things. First of all, better lucky than good. The number 3 isn't a Delphi racing horse. Shout out to our sponsors at Delphi Racing. Charlie, I do not have a piece of this one though. I do not have an
Okay.
ownership piece of better lucky than good, but I do know the horse well. He won for me last time. It was a power pick play, by the way, at 11.5 to 1. And what I really like is this horse is just getting better, Charlie. I mean, he's
Yep.
absolutely getting better. He used to be like an absolute dead closer, as you can see, but he's learning to be more tactical and he's working very well. I will say, again, I want to be honest, everyone home, I did not talk to Matt Gutierrez of Adelphi Racing, who's the racing manager, about this horse in particular. Matt's out of town. So I don't have like inside intel other than just knowing this horse and watching this horse run and blah, blah, blah. I think it's a wide open field. I think he gets a great trip on the inside. I think he's tactical. I think he's improving. And I think we're going to get 6 to 1, 8 to 1. I don't know. Again, this is like the other New York bred turf race. I just don't want to take a low price here at all. And Chris Couples, I think, loves this horse. Yep. Chris Couples loves better lucky than good. Let's see. Our Stephanie said there's a 0 chance that I think the 1 is 5 to 1, I think is who our Stephanie's talking about.
Yeah,
Charlie
that was last week.
there.
Yep.
So yeah. Joe, what's up, Joe? Joe Sapienza. How you doing, Joe? Good morning. Good luck. Likes Lock and Key. I've got that horse as a B. I don't think we're getting 12 to 1 though. Again, but I mean, you can't just keep saying all these morning lines are wrong and everyone's going to be lower, right? I mean, someone's going to be above their morning line. So I mean, we'll have to see. I'm assuming you looked at Lock and Key also, the 8. I just think this is a wide open race.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this race's morning lines was the one that stuck out to me as very bizarre. Like the 7 at 4 to 1 was very interesting to me because I tossed that horse completely. I have no interest. I'd put that one at
Wow.
15 to 1.
Well, we
I
all
think
know. No, hold on a second, Charlie. We all know why. Come on. You know why we don't like this horse. Why you don't like this horse in particular. Look at the name. Come on. You
okay,
can't fool us,
that too.
Charlie. Come
Yeah,
on
well,
now.
okay, that I won't lie, that was part of it. But I also just think that the horse doesn't move me in the replays, and I'm not surprised why. I think the name
All
kind of
right.
cursed this horse. But no, I think there are some other interesting prices. I thought Union Trail at 15 to 1 is a horse I would consider using defensively or even mixing in the tries. This one has set some decent fractions in the past and has been able to actually
Yeah.
hold up with that speed. I could very well see this one hang on for a decent position. And then a horse we haven't even touched about who's more of a middling price, but I see you have mixed in. I think we have to talk about is the 9 Liars Poker, who I think is kind of a wild card in this race and very interesting. I want to let you talk about it more since you have the horse in second, but I'm curious what your thoughts are because this one and the 12 are the 2 I was having the most time trying to figure out what to do with.
I want upside in this race, Charlie, or potential for upside. By
Yep.
the way, Clement also trains the 3 Better Lucky Than Good, who's more of a closer. I wonder what Rosario will be doing here. I hope. There is
I would
quite a
say
bit of
this is
speed.
Rosario.
There is quite a bit of speed in this race, though. I just think the 9 is going to get a great trip off the 4 and the 5, Charlie, and is improving and might be an okay price and cuts back in distance, right? This is a mile and 16th. So a lot of things for me to like about the 9 Liars
And
Poker.
lightly
It's
raced.
yeah, this is a really tough race to end the card, completely wide open. Let's go ahead and look at our best bets for today of the late pick 5 Sunday at Saratoga. Charlie, you're gonna go first. Your best bets. And again, this is of the late pick 5.
Yep.
More information, if you're subscribed to the Saratoga Power Picks, Charlie has more information for the entire card, which is awesome. Race 9, number 3, that is Black Dog, right?
Yep.
Is that Black
Yep.
Dog? Black
Yep.
Dog to win, and then you're going to play the exacta 6-8. That's with Black Rain in second over the 6 Rocketeer, I believe.
Yep.
Rocketeer over Black Rain. Quickly, your thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have more analysis on this in the power picks, but yeah, as we touched on earlier, I thought Black Dog's debut was impressive. I think there's a lot of potential there. I like the distance. The horse is working forwardly and not just as well meant, but as you touched on also on debut was bet as such. So I think there's plenty of room to step forward there. And for a horse that won't go off as the favorite, I'll happily take, odds of 3 to 1 or higher, I'd be thrilled with. And then going into race 10, and now that I'm seeing I chose back-to-back races, maybe even mix a little double of the 3 into the 6 and 8 now that I'm looking at it. But yeah, I highlighted that it's a 2-horse race. And you know what? I'm going to try to beat the horse who I think will go off at 6 to 5 in Black Rain and go with Rocketeer, who I think you'll probably get at 5 to 2, give or take. And I think is very interesting in this spot and is a horse that has plenty of room to step forward. And is, we touched on, ran against horses like Houday and Society Man, has run against better and has shown proven ability at the distance, unlike Black Rain. So I'm going to take a chance to go with the second choice there over Black Rain.
I love it. Great analysis, Charlie. Here are my best plays of late pick 5. I really like, is it Downtown? Sure, I can't remember the name. The 5 in the turf race, the allowance race. Hold on, I'm going to look it up real quick here. It's the Austin Check race that we talked about. Downtown Channel. We watched the replay, Charlie. Yeah. I love what I see. And I see no reason why this horse can't continue to improve, and we're going to get a price. So I'm going to go win in place in race 8 on Downtown Channel. Do I have the right race, or did I give the wrong? Why do I feel like it's race 9 I meant? No, it is race 8. I was correct.
No, okay. Yeah, race 9.
Race 8, Downtown Channel. And then in race 9 with Kiss Me Slow, you can see what I'm doing on the screen, Charlie.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a very tough race, but I think the 1 is going to be very live. So I'll just play the 1 and key him in first and second with a lot of horses. It's only $5, right? If you do it one way, if you like the 1, this is $5 for $1, $5 the other way. So it's a key for $10 total. And I think the exact is going to definitely pay, 20, 30, 40 at least, because it's wide open and the 1 is only 3 to 1. So that's my play to mess around some exactas there, Charlie, with Kiss Me Slow. Been a lot of fun, Charlie. Let me go ahead and bring up the closing banner again, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Final thoughts for the end of the second weekend at Saratoga, Charlie.
Yeah, hoping that today goes a little bit smoother than yesterday. Admittedly, Saratoga wasn't exactly what made it such a bad day. It was more so Monmouth. So, maybe now just trying to focus it on Saratoga and use what I did in the power picks to my advantage and stay away from Monmouth. But yeah, for those of you who are going to get to go read the power picks, use them to your advantage. And for those who aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. I think today I'm set up for a good day. Certainly put in lots of time and research. And I think today's potential for a very solid day for both of us.
I hope you're right. You did put a lot of time, and we appreciate that. And Charlie, stay on once we close off here on the screen. I'll talk to you just for a minute about a few quick things. Last reminders. Charlie, I know you're a Gulfstream guy. Mandatory payout today in the Rainbow Six at Gulfstream. They're thinking about $2 million in the pool for people that like playing Gulfstream. And again, tomorrow night we are going to be on for a horse and around. I believe Noah Maher is scheduled to come on with me to talk about the Monmouth Stakes Day, and of course Del Mar opening day, which he covers on our power picks. So that'll wrap it up, everyone. We're looking forward to a big week next week as a bunch of us are going to Saratoga. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night and later on and through emails. For my good friend and co-host Charlie Freeman, this has been your host Howard Kravitz for Saratoga Today on Sunday, July 21st. Crush your bets at the spa. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Habits. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.